What?
Apparently, I can't speak English today. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday morning. It's a little gloomy here today. We're anticipating some much colder weather and a snowstorm for tomorrow and Monday. So, looks like January is going to end the way it should with a lot of snow. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. Got a couple of people I got to say hi to. I got to say hi to Faye Reed. Mwah. And a big hug going out to Donna Baker. Mwah. Love you, sweetie. And who else is in here today? Oh, yes, Rich and Donna Pulse, two lovely people. So hello to Donna and Rich. Deb Pels, hello, sweetie. And Judy Galt, hello. Good morning. Good heavens, everybody's here this morning. Molly and Stocks. Cordy Dickinson. I keep wanting to say Dickinson, but it's Dixon. Hello, Cordy. And Carrie Henderson. And Miss Robin Storm, I hope you are feeling better, honey. I know you've been plagued with some back issues lately. I hope you're feeling better. And to one of my besties, Karen Jones. Hello, sweetie. And who else is in here? Good heavens. Boys, we're going to be full up today. That's a good thing. Oh, the truth is shall set you free. She's hiding under the blankets. No way. I love a good snowstorm. It's a good time. Put on a big old pot of chili, put on a fire, watch the snow fall.
Chili?
There's chili. Yes, I made a pot of chili.
I like chili.
I know you like chili. And we got fresh bread and perhaps even cornbread if you behave yourself.
No promises.
No promises. Is there ever?
It's a coin flip.
Okay, we do have some great giveaways for today. We've got Dynasty Brush has sent us some beautiful Dynasty Micron brushes to give away for today's live. So we have a set of Dynasty Micron. I believe it's 3 or 4 brushes. I can't remember which. And we have some Tombow goodies as always. And of course, there's always some stuff in there from both Renee and I. So nice little giveaway today along with a little Create bag. So that'll be a fun giveaway. We have 3 of those today. Their estimated value is about $40 US each, which is a nice little gimme for the end of the day. Great way to end a Saturday live. So, Denise Chavez is waving hello to Renee.
Hello.
He's waving back to me. Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. Robin, I'm sorry you're still in discomfort. Hopefully you find some relief soon. I wish y'all would keep your weather up north. Rain, ice, snow for northeastern Florida on Wednesday. Ew. No, I'm not saying anything. It'll just get me into trouble, and I got enough of that. So today we're going to be painting this piece called Sunflower Country Bee. This is the mate to the butterfly one we did a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to finish that one off today. This one is a fun one. I really enjoy doing this one. I like the combination of lettering. I like the texture in the background. And of course, it's got a bee, so what's not to like? And for next Saturday, we're having a birthday party. There might even be cake. Maybe. But we're going to have a birthday party, which means that you guys get the presents. So we have some special giveaways for next Saturday. So make sure you join us for that. The project that we're doing is called Winery or The Winery. The pattern for that is up on the website right now. We are fully stocked. Again, we got all our surfaces and whatnot in. So keep your eyes peeled for some new designs coming up for those cattle tags. We've got a couple new things coming up for that. And I just did and finished our project for the following week, the first week in February, and it's called Ice Cream, Summer Ice Cream. So we're going to be doing that one, which is also a lot of fun. Fun little stenciled background. We're going to be using gel pens. We're going to be using Posca pens and a little bit of acrylic paint. We're just going to have fun with it. I was looking for like a 1950s vintage ice cream parlor style with that type of color palette, and I got precisely what I had up in this noggin here. So I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to end up being a series with a couple of other projects in mind. I've got sketches and doodles. So we're going to have a lot of fun in the next few weeks. But for today, we're going to be painting Sunflower Country. And if you guys are ready to get started, so am I. So this is the one we're painting today, the one with the bumblebee. It's a reiteration of one that we did a couple of weeks ago. I love sunflowers. Sunflowers are fun to paint. They're bright, they're sunny, they're colorful, and they're just happy. And who doesn't need a little sunshine in the wintertime? So we're going to be doing that one with the fun little bees. I love bees. And I like this sort of vintage, heavily distressed look. So this is what we're going to be doing today. It's not a difficult piece to paint. Having seen how the other one was done, I'm pretty sure you guys could knock this out of the park in minutes. But we're going to go through this one for those. What is this? Is the waffle stencil just using the mini square sideways? No, it isn't. It's actually built differently. The check stencil, they're offset. This is rows of squares. It's a little bit different. So I'm going to use a little bit of Bahama blue and a little bit of warm white. I know Bahama blue sounds like an odd color to use in a country themed piece, especially since it's going to be in the background. But there's also a lot of white in this piece. There's a lot of gray in this piece, and I needed a cool background. I wanted something that was going to work with all this yellow. And so I chose Bahama blue. Now I'm using a fugly brush to do this part. Might as well get a good one. I'm pretty sure I have one that isn't, beyond redemption. Okay, here we go. So I'm using a fugly brush. We're going to start with a little bit of Bahama blue. I like to have a little bit of water or glaze in my brush, so it's going to be a little soupy. That's okay. And we're going to work horizontally. So nice long stripes horizontally across the surface. My base color is lamp black. I used 2 coats. I wanted a nice smooth surface. So I've got 2 coats, and I sanded when it was dry. And what we're looking for is this sort of dry look. You can see that we've got patches of black showing through. It does not have to be perfect. Hi, Mary Davis. How are you? I like to say hi to everybody. And Joan Mueller, hello. It's nice to see all of you joining us today. Pat Lynchy, hello, Pat. Maine is probably going to get the same storm we're getting on Sunday. Sunday night into Monday. Probably going to see about a foot of snow or so. Okay, so I've got Bahama blue. Looks like there's a lot of black showing through. That's okay. I like to see that black. That's what gives us all that texture. Hi, Leanne. And Amanda. Hello. From São Paulo, Brazil. Hello. Nice to have you with us. How do I like the new 2025 colors from DecoArt? I know what, I'm really excited, but I get excited every year when they put out new colors. I've had the privilege of sitting on the one of the committees, and we do an awful lot of work when it comes to the colors that they're going to use for the coming years. We have an awful lot of input into it, and fantastic that the company actually takes our advice and our suggestions to heart. I'm very excited about these colors. The one that excites me the most is the gingham blue. There's something about that color that just really appeals to me. So I'm as excited as everybody else to add them to my paint box. And Bonnie Clock, hello. I knew I saw your name on there. I was answering a question. So, hello, Kelly Davis. And Phyllis Freeman. Hello, Phyllis. That's okay, Karen. You're allowed to be late. And we haven't gotten much done yet. Okay, so I'm just drying this really well. So we're going to put a top layer over top of this with a little bit of warm white. Now, the warm white is going to subdue some of the blue. We don't want to bury everything. We want some of the black showing. We want some of the blue showing. Do I know what colors they are discontinuing yet? No. That I do not know. So I'm going to do the same process over top of this using warm white, but I'm going to allow some of that blue to show through. I'm not putting a ton of white on. Good for you, Joyce. I'm excited about them. I can't wait to have them in my paint box. I'm also excited about the new catalog, so then I can do up my book for 2025. I like to have my book done. Makes great reference material. And then when you're writing patterns or when you're doing, putting things together for classes and workshops, you have an up-to-date product list. Oh, I thought I saw a question. Hi, Betty. Hi, Cindy. I like this, being able to see the chat lists with everybody on it, and both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Makes it so much easier. And Dawn Paksowski. Dawn Kenny Paksowski. Wow, great name. Good to have you with us, Dawn. So, I've got a layer of that Bahama blue peeking through. I love the blue peeking through. And then that little bit of white. So pretty. The Decawort website is having an inventory reduction sale right now. And in a lot of cases, it's up to 60% off. So if you're looking to stock up on any colors, if you're looking to add to your current collection, it's a good time to do it. And if I have a coupon code for Decawort that'll give you a nice little chunk off too, so you can use that. It's TM25H1. TM25H1 is my coupon code. So if you're going to be shopping on the Decawort website in the next couple of days, that is, take advantage of that sale they've got going on. If they shipped to Canada, I would do it in a heartbeat. So I'm going to be using one of these things, Identi-Pen, and a ruler, if I can find one. Here we go. I am a hot mess today. Can't find my ruler. There it is. So we're going to make 3 bars. Where they are doesn't matter. I mean, you can do some nifty measuring if you want to, but quite honestly, no, they don't ship to Canada, unfortunately. I wish they did. It would be a great time to take advantage of that. So I'm just going to guesstimate about every 3 inches. Yeah, roughly. I'm not too worried about making it dead accurate. So I'll just find this is an 8x8, so 3 inches. It doesn't matter if they're all the same width. It really doesn't. So I'm going to use my Identi-Pen to draw a line to mark the space between the boards. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a guesstimate. And you can use a Sharpie. If you don't have an Identi-Pen, use a Sharpie. Or if you're really handy with a liner brush, do it with a liner brush. I remembered the name of the pen again. Well, I can't take credit for that one because I actually read it before I put it under the counter. I can never remember the name of this flippin' pen. I have no idea. I have total mental block when it comes to this thing. But I have to be honest. When I took it out of the dish, the first thing I did was read it so that I would know that it was an Identi-Pen. because I'm hopeless. I have no idea why I have such a mental block with this pen, but I'll forget next week and have to read it again. I can guarantee you. They're great. These things work so well on acrylic paint, and they're not bothered by varnish or anything like that, but for whatever reason, I just can't get there from here. So I've got 3 spaces, just a simple line. It does not have to be perfect. So we're going to put a little asphaltum on our palette. I love this color. It was my color of the day the other day because, I love it. And we're going to float a little asphaltum around the outside edge and on either side of those lines, just to create the illusion that we have 3 separate boards. So I'm using Dynasty Faux Squirrel BAB, big ass brush. This one is a 1 inch or a 3/4 inch angled shader. So I'm going to pull a nice little float all along that first line, just like that. And I'm going to do the other side as well. Needs to be a nice wide float, but not too dark. If it's too dark, then it just looks heavy, and we don't really want that. So, nice little float, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other line. Super easy. Look at that. Now, this just ages this a little bit, so you're not going to kill all that color that we just put on, but we're going to subdue it a little. There we go. I love this little bit of Bahama blue peeking through. It just keeps things from being, a little bland or a little gray, and it keeps things nice and cool. And it's a complementary color to the yellow, so it really makes the sunflower pop. Hi, Deb. Good morning. Did Maze take Renee out for a walk? That would be more accurate, yes. I believe the boys are out getting the generator ready. It hasn't been tuned up yet this year, so that's what they're doing today. So, again, nice little float around the outside edge of the surface. So, which leads me to believe that Maze is probably outside in the yard, terrorizing the squirrels. She likes to think she can catch them. But they're a pretty canny bunch, so they're not too worried about her. They only go, halfway up the tree. They don't even bother running all the way back to their nest. They just get about halfway up, stop, and look back like you could catch us. Good luck with that. Et voila. I love this look. I have a thing about this rustic country distressed look. I just love it. Makes me happy. Deborah Santafonte, hello. Nancy Focardi, hello, sweetie. You're making deviled eggs today? Love deviled eggs. Lucy, you're going out kicking and screaming? I somehow don't doubt that for a moment. So, this is almost dry. I got a wet spot there that just doesn't want to dry. So our next step is we're going to add a nifty little chipped paint look to the edge of this. I know I've done this quite often. I love this look. I just think it works so, so well. And I love it on this piece in particular. So I'm going to use, I've got a beat up old rigger here somewhere that I'm going to use. There we go. So I've got a rigger and I'm going to thin a little bit of lamp black and load up this brush just like that. Lots of black. Now that is our base color. So we're going to age the edge of this and it's sort of a push-pull. So I push the brush, I pull the brush so that I end up with a very broken and erratic edge. Now you can let it go smooth for a bit, add more chips, make it go smooth for a bit. You can add a chip where those lines are. And it's just moving the brush along in a random fashion so that you get a chipped or peeling look at the edge of this surface. And this is such an effective finish. There we go. I just love how this looks, and it's great on ornaments. I love this background for a lot of different things. Now you can use multiple colors for this. You don't have to use just one or two. You could do this in multiple colors. You don't have to cover the whole surface with just one color. You can do multiple colors first and then add the white afterwards. There are so many variations of it. I was making way too many big blotches. I like the big blotches. The bigger the blotch, the more rustic it looks. So it's just a push and pull, drag the brush, push, pull. See, I like the big chunks coming out too. On camera, this looks really small, but in actual fact, it's really not. Some of these chips are, a quarter of an inch deep. So I just push and pull along till I get a nice chipped look at the edge, like so. This is such an easy background to customize any way you want. What's for dinner tonight? I put on a big old pot full of chili in the slow cooker. And tonight we'll have a fire on because it's going to get snapping cold here the next couple of days. We were at minus 16 this morning. It was a little brisk. But we're in for some freezing rain tonight and tomorrow. And then snowstorm going to hit late Sunday afternoon into the evening and then probably go most of the day Monday. So we're in for some not so pretty weather. But the nice part is nobody has to go anywhere except Renee. He's got to go to work. But we don't have to worry too much about the roads. So we can stay home and enjoy the heat. Nice fire on. Good old wood stove. They're tuning up the generator just in case. Thanks, Peg. I appreciate that. I might make I have some French bread with a nice crispy edge crust. I think we may have that. Or if Renee plays his cards right, then I'll make some cornbread. Hi, Ann Flurry. Oof. 3 degrees and rain. Supposed to get the cold snap, too. Yes. Hi, Patsy. And Elsie Sturm. Ooh, yum. Lasagna and a hockey game tonight, and it's minus 20. Brr. Yeah, we're going to be seeing that in the next few days. Oh, no, we like to share, Robin. We like to share. Yeah, well, you're not the only ones that are getting the frigid weather. We're going to be in for it, too. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to highlight the edge of this just to make it pop a little bit. Oh, nice, Linda. An evening out. Good for you. Hey, Bev. Well, we need to stock up on some storm chips, and then we'll be ready. That's about the only thing we need to do. Storm chips. Hi, George. And Debbie Easton. Hello. You're ready for spring? I'm ready for like a good old-fashioned nor'easter. That's what I'm ready for. I love the changes in the seasons. That's my favorite part. Hi, Carol. So I'm going to use a white gel pen. You can use a white Posca pen. Works just as well. Here's my white. I've got a Posca pen here. That's bullet tip. That's not the one I want. Where's the one I want? Oh, there it is. I got these. These are the Posca. These are 0.7 millimeter. These are a needlepoint. They've got the finer tip on them, like an extra fine Sharpie. They're great. Gail Jensen just hibernates with the bears during the winter. I don't play in snow, but I love the snow. I love when you get mountains of it around here in the wintertime. I love it. So I'm just priming my Posca here. And we're just going to highlight the edge, that chipped edge, with a thin line of the white. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I rather like it. It's just a me thing. You can do this with a liner brush and some white paint as well. Whatever works for you. And if you prefer it without it, don't do it. It's a matter of taste and choice, and if you like it, great. But if you don't, that's okay too. I just like it. I think it just adds a fun little twist to the edges of this. Frames things up nicely. Brings attention to that black line and that irregular edge, which is always fun. And it's super easy with a Posca pen or a white gel pen. Either one. Finer the better. That's the one thing. The finer the better. But I'll tell you, with the Posca pen or a gel pen, it's a whole lot faster. Not to mention you have great control over it. So a little more accuracy, which is nice. Unless you're really good with a liner brush. But it does make for a really fun background. And there we go. Almost done. Let's see. Wow, we're going to close schools for a little bit of snow. When I was a kid, it took a lot more to close the schools than it does now. But I understand why, because so much busing, parents having to drive kids to and from school, road closures, etc. I get it. We couldn't wait for a snow day when I was a kid. It's the best thing ever. So, I've got my edge done. If you don't have one of these are awesome. I have a set of these in a variety of colors. Would you have used a black Post-it pen on the dark lines? Yes, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I just happen to have a, what do you call that thing? Oh my God. See? Nope, that's a Sharpie. Identi-pen. Good Lord. I just happen to have it right there. Yep, you could use a black Posca pen to do that. You could use a Sharpie to do that. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever you have on hand. The only thing I avoid doing on here is the black gel pen because it would, you have the potential of it smearing when you're putting paint over top of it. Don't like that. So I try to find something that's going to be compatible with the paint we're putting over top. So we are ready to put our line drawings on. And you can decide how you want it to go, if you want in a narrowest part at the top or whatever. It really doesn't matter. It's not going to make a significant difference to how this looks in the end. So I've got my line drawing ready. And I'm going to roughly center that on my surface. And then tape it down. I always tape my line drawing down. It drives me nuts when things slip and slide off of there. And I'm going to use a little bit of gray graphite. If I can find my graphite paper. There it is. Got some gray graphite. And my red gel pen. Hi, Carolyn. And Karen Knox, hello. So I'm just going to do a quick tracing. Medium to firm pressure. You don't want to press so hard that it cuts into the wood surface. And if you're working on a canvas to do this, what I would suggest is putting something firm underneath the canvas so that you don't have to press so hard. When a canvas bows underneath this kind of pressure, the line drawings become distorted. So have something firm underneath it, whether it's a book or a smaller wood surface, a piece of wood or cardboard, something that's going to give your surface a little bit of support. Now, I like my red gel pen because I can see where I've been and what I've missed. It stands out much easier. But not only that, I like it for that fine point. I really don't like heavy graphite lines. They're very hard to get rid of. And so I prefer to use something that provides a finer line, which is why I like this gel pen, because it is a 0.38. It also has a stainless steel ball, so it really works smoothly. Do I ever put a sealer between your background and your subject matter to protect the background? Yes. Quite often I'll put a coat of matte medium down, especially if the background has a lot going on in it, if it's multimedia, if it has a lot of different, gel pens and stamps and paint and ink and things like that in the background, then I'll seal it usually with a light spray of matte sealer, or I'll use matte medium on the background just to be on the safe side. So I'm not, if I make a mistake further on and I have to take it off, I don't end up taking off my background at the same time. So sunflower's almost done. Trace those leaves. And the stem. And then we'll go on to our bumblebee. Now our bumblebee, we don't have to worry too much about all the little details. We're just getting the general shape in place right now. So I was going over market and trend reports the other day just to see what was trending and what we can anticipate for 2025 as far as design goes, as far as color goes. There's a lot of really interesting things that popped up in the trend reports that I found quite exciting. Not everybody gets excited over a trend report, but I do. And Sharon Wagner, hello. Gail, I'm glad you got your goodies this week. I was very pleased to see. I've had so many notes. People are finally getting their packages and whatnot from the 12 Days of Christmas. We've been waiting on. I had to get some specialized boxes to ship the artwork. So we were waiting for those, but that finally arrived late yesterday. So we're going to try and get those all packed and shipped this week. So with a little bit of luck, it will all be done. But thankfully, the shipping system seems to be slowly getting back to normal. So we've been getting things out fairly quickly, which is a relief. I really don't like having parcels piling up and orders piling up because, people are counting on their supplies. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. You've been so patient and so kind. Not everybody, I think, has experienced that during this mail strike. I think a lot of people really became very frustrated by the whole thing. But 99.999% of you have been extraordinarily patient and very, very kind and very understanding. And I wanted you to know how much we appreciated it. So, and as for the little goodies that we pop into your orders and whatnot, I'm a tea drinker. I don't drink coffee very often, but we're big tea drinkers, and so I'm I'm always trying to find some new fun things for you guys. So I'm glad you enjoy the little teas. They're just a little treat that we like to send along. You're very welcome, Deb. I'm glad your goodies finally arrived. Always tickles me pink when you guys get your happy mail. Hi, Cheryl. Thank you. I love this piece too. It's got bees on it. I like anything with bees on it. So I'm playing with an idea for a cow. I've suddenly just got this thing for a cow. I don't know why. Purples and mauves you're going to see a lot of. They're more into softer gray values. So I'm kind of excited about that. There's something very romantic about those tones. I love the purple that's in the new colors. I really like the look of it. And the yellow says something to me too. I like that, but I'm excited about the gingham blue. There's something about that color. Well, the postal strike caused issues in more than just the postal system. At one point, the shipper that we use, which is Purelator, they are flippin' fantastic. They were so great all during the postal strike. They were so good to us. Even they had to literally stop taking new shipments in order to catch up on the backlog because they were overwhelmed by the volume of shipping that they had to do because of the strike. So they were exceptional, but we did go for about a week and a half where we had absolutely no ability to ship anything. We had one shipper that was available to us, and the rates were absolutely insane. So we just held on to orders, and then as soon as we were able to produce waybills, we shipped so that we were shipping them at a reasonable rate. I just didn't think that it was fair to the people who had placed orders to have to send them another invoice for shipping when, it's not their fault either. So we just held on to them until we were able to get waybills. And then as soon as we shipped close to 100 packages. So I'm really relieved to see that all of the giveaways and things like that are finally getting to the people that were supposed to have them. So, and I really do appreciate it when people let me know that they've arrived. So, especially when they've been lost like that for a while. We have had a large number of mail items that have gone missing. So if you've had ordered stencils or something small and it hasn't arrived yet, please let me know so that we can add you to that search list. Because we will either replace your shipment or B, locate it for you. And I have to say the Canada Post has actually been very helpful in that regard. I know that it's been a struggle, and they're trying to catch up on shipments as well, but they've been very helpful with, helping us locate things, which has been really great. So, alrighty, almost done. Look at this. Woo! Excellent. Boys, I can barely see that. I think I'm going to have to treat myself to a new piece of graphite paper. This is ridiculous. I can I can see through it. That's the sad part. Gray graphite paper, the good stuff, is really hard to locate these days. So, I've got my line drawing in place. And we're going to start with our bumblebee. Because quite honestly, that's the most difficult part of this piece. Hey, Suzanne Gagnon, hello. And Colleen Corbett, hello. And Jill from Ajax, Ontario. Nice to have you with us. I can't wait to have the new colors either. I'm really excited. So our base color for our bumblebee, we're going to start with a little bit of warm white. And of course, we're going to have a yellow. I'm going to use this one. I love this color, this baby duck. And Corinna, hello. Are you bracing for snow too, Corinne? There we are. Okay. So first things first. Do I like Sorel? Yes and no. I've used it for larger projects. I prefer it for larger projects because it comes in these great big sheets or on a roll. But for smaller items, no, I find it harder to get rid of personally, but that's a personal thing. That has nothing to do with the paper. It's just a personal preference. Okay, so I'm going to use a 1/2-inch angled shader and a little bit of thinned asphaltum. Here we are. And we're going to put a little shadow to the right of our bumblebee. Just like so. So to the right of the legs, to the right bottom of the wing, like that. And to the right of the body, like so. So we have just a little cast shadow around our bumblebee. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the right side of the sunflower, the stem, like so. Little bit on the upper right of the sunflower, not quite halfway, But it's just a light little shadow. We're not going to work too hard on this one. Again, it's just going to provide a little bit of a dropped shadow on that right side. A little bit underneath. Just like that. Looks a little irregular, but once we add all of the colors, it's going to work really well. Hi, Jan. I love this background too. It's one of my favorites. Well, Country Bear is the distributor, and they do carry a full line, so I have no doubt that they will bring in the new colors. Okay. So let's start with that warm white. I'm going to find a small round, if I own one. Where's my round? There it is. So I'm working with a number 5 round. I think it's a number 5, yep. And some warm whites. And we're going to base the wings with warm white. Now I like to, whenever I'm base coating, I like to put my paint in the shape of the piece that I'm painting. So if the wing, I bring all of those strokes back towards the body of the bee. The reason I do that is that if there are any remaining brush marks in there, they're going to follow the shape and just create a line that is part of the wing. So it doesn't become something that you're having to work against. Just like that. Not to mention, it's much easier to cover up brush marks when they're all going in the same direction. They become far less visible. So I've got one coat warm white on the wings, and I'm going to put one coat of warm white on our fuzzy butt bumblebee. Just like that. One coat, that's all that's necessary. And again, I follow the shape of the space that I'm painting. And then we're going to dry that and then recoat. Where is Country Bear located? They are in southern Ontario. Another supplier for Deckwort product, they carry a full line as well as a full line of the Americana, is Delta Arts and Craft Supplies, Delta Art and Drafting Supply, and they're in Edmonton, Alberta. And they're excellent. The service is fantastic from them. So I'm going to put a second coat on the wings, which is unusual for me. I don't usually put a second coat of anything down, but in the white I wanted pretty good coverage. So I'm putting a second coat down just to fill in any little gaps or spaces. And this will also help eliminate any of those brush marks. Et voila. And Cheryl Martins is here, and Lorraine Luth. Hello. And Sharita Roberts. Hello. No, Faye, they used to be based in Quebec, but now Country Bear is based in Ontario. The company was sold last year. The new owner is fantastic. I've spoken to him. He's very helpful. Great guy. They are working on the website. Currently, it is just a wholesale site, so They are working on that. Delta Art is great. I have never been disappointed in them. They have been amazing. All through the pandemic, I was ordering supplies through them. Yep. So, going to take a little bit of that baby duck and base coat that thorax. Thorax, not the thorax. What do you call that part? The fuzzy butt. I call it the fuzzy butt because I don't know what the actual term for it is. Thorax is the upper portion. So there we go. Baby duck. What's such a pretty yellow? And it covers really nicely, but it needed that little bit of white underneath. Delta Art is Canadian. They're based in Edmonton. Service I've gotten from them has been fantastic. The abdomen. Thank you, Donna. I'll call it a fuzzy butt because it's the fuzzy butt. So we've got lamp black on the palette. And that is what our body, the thorax, which is the upper body, is lamp black. I know when they're reading the trend reports the other day, one of the best places that I've gone for information in reference to trends has always been to the gift industry. There's always some really interesting things that show up in the gift industry that always manage to parlay over into the art and craft industry, almost guaranteed. So one thing I'm seeing an awful lot of in the gift industry, daisies and ladybugs, bugs in general, butterflies, bumblebees, things like that. All of that is showing up. Dragonflies. A lot of that is showing up in giftware, everything from wind chimes to wine glasses. I've been seeing so much of it. So don't be surprised if you're seeing a lot of bugs in things this year because they're going to parlay over into the craft industry. Hi, Patrick. Oh, sorry. We missed you. Good heavens. We were so busy chatting, we missed you. So I'm going to just stroke in these legs. The legs are done with just a little comma stroke. I hope you're feeling better, Patrick. So there we go with the little strokes to create the arms and legs. Et voila. Arms and legs on our little bumblebee. Poor Patrick. Your heart's broken. There we go. Hi, Kay. Everybody's here. Good heavens. Iris. Yep. Yep. Bugs, flowers, and weather. Bugs and flowers. Bugs and flowers. I saw a lot of it. So there is our bumblebee. All base coated. Ready to go. And hi, Marjorie. And Linda Griffith. Hello. So we have a small bumblebee down in the lower left corner, just by the sea and country. And we're going to do the same thing to that bee that we did to the big one. Just base coat those wings. Like so. And the fuzzy butt. Fuzzy butt bumblebees. So I'm going to dry that. And Linda Giesbrich, hello. Have I decided on net yet? I don't know. We shall see. So there is the black on our bumblebee. I just realized I forgot to paint the little antenna on this guy. There we go. And there's a rough edge right here. I don't know why I just missed that. There we go. We have a little bee down here. Hi, Heidi.
Generator works fine.
Yep, good. Good, good, good.
She fired right up.
Right on. Heidi, no, they're not closed yet. They're closing in April. I had a email from Colleen, the owner. Their storefront has been closed since the pandemic, and they've only had the warehouse. What about Linda? I'm so excited to hear about Alabama. So, see if I can get ducks in rows. Norma Luther, hello. Yeah, we're all doing just fine. Thank you very much. Hope you're well too. So we have bumblebees. Look at that, bumblebees. Now the bees work up really quickly. We're going to, and I love doing this part, going to use either warm sunset or you can use orange flame if you have it. I'm not a proponent of having exactly every color. I think a lot of the time you can wing it with whatever you have. Now, I used warm sunset for my bumblebees, but if you don't have it, another orange will work just fine. So, warm sunset. I've got a 1/2 inch angled shader. We're going to put color on both sides of the thorax of this bee. Just going to be wider on one side than the other. So I'm going to start with the wide side, which is on the left. So just going to put a float, nice wide float of warm sunset. Does not have to be perfect. Good thing, because that's not even close. And then we're going to put a smaller float on the other side. Just a little narrower, just to put a little bit of color on both sides. And then we have the open area in the center that is quite yellow. What manufacturer of colored pencils do I use? Oh, that's a hard one. I use several different types depending on what I'm doing. I have Prismacolor. I also have Caran d'Ache. I also have Faber-Castell. I have Derwent, and I have Lyra. And I use them all. Lately, my personal favorite is the Derwent ChromaFlow pencils. They're bright and colorful like Prismacolor, a little firmer as far as the core is concerned, more like the Faber-Castell. They have a beautiful selection of colors. They're absolutely gorgeous. They go down really, really nicely. And they're a little more expensive than Faber-Castell, or I should say a little more expensive than Prismacolor, and about the same price as Faber-Castell. The color quality is exceptional and the light fastness is exceptional. So price point, they run under $200 for a set of 72. And quite honestly, I don't think you need more than that. Yeah, that's probably closer to the truth, Linda. Which ones I don't use. I have all kinds of them. I have several different ones. You're very welcome, Norma. I'm happy to help. They all have, when it comes down to it, they all have qualities, and a lot of it is what works for you. If the budget doesn't fall to Caran d'Ache, which are prohibitively expensive, I have some. I do not have a lot of them, but I have some. They are very expensive, but the color quality is beautiful. The Faber-Castell was one of my first sets. Absolutely fantastic, but a harder core. If you need something softer with brighter colors, then Prismacolor is not a bad one either. So I think a lot of it is personal preference. The best advice I can give you when it comes to colored pencils is buy the best quality that you can afford. Just like brushes, buy the best quality you can afford. And start with a moderate set. That's all. You don't need to have 150 colors to get started. Start with a moderate set. Or even buy pencils one at a time. Most of the quality brands are available in open stock, and you can buy them one pencil at a time. And then just buy the colors that you need for a project at the time. And then you can add to it as time goes by. Not everybody can lay out $250 or $400 for a set of pencils. You know, it's as much as we might like to, we have to be realistic at some point. Let's see. Yep, this year Expo is going to be in Alabama, or 2026, I should say, is going to be in Alabama. That's exciting. It's not far from Birmingham, I think, or it's a suburb of Birmingham, so which is nice. Oh, then Faye, we should do that. Cheryl Niece, hello, hun. What brand of brushes do I like best? Oh, I'm a Dynasty girl. I exclusively use Dynasty brushes. I do have other brands in my paint bag, but when I'm painting for classes and etc., I exclusively use my Dynasty brushes. If I had to pick one out of the Dynasty line to use, it would be the Dynasty Faux Squirrel. That would be my favorite. And again, best quality brushes you can afford. 15 minutes from the Birmingham airport. Nice. So our little bumblebee here is going to get a little toning. I like to tone colors. We're going to take a little bit of thin asphaltum. Just a tiny bit. We're going to thin it out. I don't want this full strength. We just want to tone these colors a bit. Just deepen them a little bit. So I'm putting a float of heavily thinned asphaltum over top of that orange. And then I'm going to switch to my extra long detail liner. I love my extra long detail liner. And we're going to thin out some lamp black. And this is where we create our fuzzy butt. So we're going to start with that first row of black. And it looks kind of messy for a bit because we're going to put multiple layers on. So I'm thin lines of lamp black back and forth like so. They don't have to be perfect, but we want them to be thin and fine and different lengths. They don't all have to be the same length. until about 2/3 of it is filled. Doesn't need to be solid black. If it's solid black, then it just looks like a stripe, and we don't want that. So there's our first band. Then we're going to put a second one about 1/4 of an inch down from the first one. Like this. Same thing. It's like little strands of hairs. Some are going to be a little thick, some are going to be really fine. And especially as the brush runs out, they're going to get a little wispy looking, which is pretty cool too. And then at the very bottom, we're going to put a little bit right on the tail end, on the stinger end, the business end. Now you could do this with a rake if you want to. I like doing it with a liner brush because then I can control how dark it gets. I don't necessarily want it really, really dark, but I do want it to look kind of hairy. So that means that some of those lines are going to be longer than others so that they're not perfect. I don't like the idea of it being absolutely perfect. And this is what kind of creates that fuzzy butt look. Would you like me to do a dragonfly? I love dragonflies. I have dragonflies tattooed on my leg. I have bees on the other leg, but I have dragonflies on the other. So I'm going to dry that. Fuzzy butt. I'm going to bug you guys, yes. I love dragonflies. I love bumblebees. I love ladybugs. I have a thing about bugs in general. I have had for a long time. But I really like bumblebees, bugs, and butterflies. They're just fun. So I'm going to quickly take a smaller angled shader. I've got a 3/8, and I'm going to just repeat what I've done on this bee, on this little guy down here. Because I can. There we go. Little fuzzy butt bumblebees. Fuzzy butts. There we go. I love bumblebees. There we are. So we've got a little bumblebee down here, another bumblebee up there. Please tell me you don't like snakes. Oh, I wish I could. I do like snakes. I don't like spiders. Snakes I can deal with. Don't want them in my house. But I'm okay with a snake. So, now we're going to start putting in some detail on our bee. I love this part. Remember the Bahama blue that we used in the background? We're going to tie our bee to the background by using a little bit of Bahama blue for the wings. So, it's going to be a float. Ooh, goodness, way too much paint. Let's try that again. Got a little bit of Bahama blue. And we're going to float Bahama blue on the tips of the wings. So, all the way out here on the tip and the edge of the wing, we're going to put a nice float of Bahama blue. And it's only going to come about 1/3 of the way in. And then we're going to do the same thing close to the body. Little float of Bahama blue. Didn't quite pull it far enough. And again, going to be about a third of the way. So we have this nice little float in towards the center and out towards the edge of the wing, leaving the center portion of the wing bright white. So I'm going to dry this. Then we're going to do the same thing to the little guy down here. Oh, I would never pick up a spider that size. I'd die. It's just, ugh. No, I cannot do spiders. Snakes I'm okay with. Creepy crawlers in generally I'm okay with. I don't even mind things like, centipedes and millipedes and things like that. I don't even mind those. Beetles, nothing like that really bothers me. But spiders, ugh. No, thank you. Can't do spiders. Okay, so our wings are shaded. Now we're going to highlight the body. I'm going to switch to a 3/8 angle. And we're going to use a little bit of warm white. And I'm going to thin this out. I'm going to really blend this out because I don't want it full strength. That's a bit garish then. And we're going to put a highlight on each segment of the bee's body. And it's going to be two floats, one on either side. And this, I'm going to start on the left. And I'm leaving a small space in from the edge a little bit. And then I'll leave a space and stop like that. So it's going to give us this type of float. So it's going to highlight each of those segments. Just like that. So that when we turn this around and do the same thing on the other side, it gives us some significant definition to the shape of our segments. So this is what we get. And then we're going to use that liner brush and a little bit of thin warm white. We're going to put a little highlight there, 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 and there on the thorax. And then we're going to separate each of the segments in the legs the same way. So starting at the ones closest to the body, I'm going to put a little highlight on that curve. And it just highlights each of those segments. It's not a bright highlight. It's just enough to change. There we go. So that little highlight just accentuates the shape of those legs, each of those segments. Et voila. And then you can highlight each of those little segments as well with a small dot or a small stroke of warm white. Have a great weekend, Robin. Look after yourself, sweetie. And Robin R., think of you all the time, love. So little highlights like this just bring attention to the various segments on the body. And the neat thing about using this method, when you see each of those segments, if they get a little lost, take a float of lamp black and just redefine that shape a little bit. Just with a little float of lamp black underneath there, and it becomes far more defined. And you can do the same thing on the top and bottom. So wherever it needs a little more definition or to round it out, a little float of lamp black will do that. Hi, Roxy. Taking a little time out for painting break. Good for you. So there's our highlight on our bumblebee. And now we're going to come down here and add a highlight to that fuzzy butt. And this actually helps us develop that highlighted area a bit more. So we're going to thin out some warm white, and we're going to add some fine little strokes of warm white towards that center. You see where it's brighter yellow sort of in the center? That's where the focus for all of these little strokes of warm white is going to be. So they're going to go over the yellow as well, not just the black, but over the yellow as well. And those little strokes, even though they're not necessarily obvious, are going to give us that highlighted look in the center of our bee. So there we go. Nice little highlighted area. So I'm going to dry that. See, our bee is taking shape quite nicely. I like fuzzy bumblebees. Fuzzy butt bumblebees are the best. And I'm going to do the same thing to this little guy down here, because he gets the same treatment. Little fuzzy butt. Little highlight. Now this little guy down here doesn't have legs like the one up top, but he does have legs. So it's just a series of little dots near the head. 2 little dots, 3 little dots. And the same at the body, close to the body under the wings. Just a series of little dots. Just so that it looks like he's got something. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to have a little fun with a gel pen, because I love how these finish up. So little gel pen. So on the little guy down here, I use the gel pen to define his wings. And it's a scribbly line. It's imperfect. It's not neat and tidy. It's just a scribbly line around the outside edge. And scribbly works better than straight. Straight makes it look very hard-edged and cartoonish. And there's just this little bit, so squiggly line around the outside of the bumblebee as well. And then on the shaded side, I like to put a few dots. It just makes our bumblebee a little fuzzier. Hi, Brenda Schock. And Becca Buckner, hello. And we're going to do the same thing to our big bee. So scribbly line at the outside edge of that fuzzy butt. Just makes the butt look fuzzier. Just like so. Add a few little dots on that shaded side, the darkest side of the bee. Like so. You can do it on both sides, not going to hurt anything. And I do the same thing. Can I varnish over gel pens? I usually spray them with matte spray first and then I go ahead and varnish. Just to be on the safe side. I've never had it go south on me, but that doesn't mean it won't. So I'm going to do that squiggly line around the wings on the big bee as well, but I do multiple layers of it on the big wings because I like the definition it creates. I like the texture it creates. It's just fun. It helps to define these wings very nicely. It keeps them looking loose and soft. Few little lines at the body, like so. And our bee is done. I love that little extra scritchy fine lines around the body. It just gives it a nice little texture, helps it make it look fuzzier. So I just love that look. So our bee is finished. So we can move over to our sunflower. I love the sunflower. And base coating it is great because we don't have to really make it perfect. Now you can use a round brush. I'm going to use a rigger for mine. Now if you're using a yellow that is really transparent, you can use a little bit of warm white underneath. But I'm using baby duck, so this one is going to cover quite well. So I like to leave a little space between the various segments, as narrow as I can get it. It's just my preference. I just like having that little space. Makes things a little bit easier in the end. So you don't have to trace line drawings back on. I find that very frustrating. And then again, I paint the petals the same way I do everything else. I follow the shape of the item and long strokes so that any brush marks and whatnot that are left in the surface all come back to the same point, either to the point or back to the flower. It just makes things look more uniform, and you don't have to go back in with 4 or 5 coats of paint. So, little bit of baby duck, long strokes, all going in the same direction. That way, if there's any brush marks, they all fall into the finish. All right, there's Sheila. Good to see you, sweetie. I got your message today. Thank you. Sheila always sends me the sweetest messages. She makes my day more often than she knows. Oof. There we go. So, baby duck is the base color for the whole sunflower. I'm telling you, guys, if you don't follow Sheila Landry, you have to. Her blog is amazing. Her insights into the creative arts and her insights into life in general are just marvelous. So there we are. If you can reach me, yes, I know. She's been having such a hard time with Facebook and Messenger and whatnot, so I got the sweetest message from her today through my website. It was just lovely. I love her blog. Everything. She's such a wonderful writer. And I can't wait to see what she's doing for her little house, the next set of houses. They're incredible. And she's going to be doing more critters too. I can't wait to see those. I love the sunflower. Sunflowers are bright. There's a good, their name is apt. Poor thing. We have to hold each other up. It's important. I love this group for a lot of different reasons. Oh, but this group that come every Saturday, you guys are amazing. So supportive of each other. I've been having entirely too much fun. I love anything country. I think you guys know that. Anything with a country theme, um, anything distressed, anything worn. I love that look. Not only do I love it, I have it all over my house. I just love it. And so a lot of the stuff that I create tends to follow that theme, but um, I also love florals. I love botanicals. I love more contemporary pieces, modern pieces. I like it all. If it gets painted, I love it. But I have been playing with designs that follow um, a vintage feel. I'm really quite enamored with some of the vintage colors. And so a lot of the stuff I've been designing lately tends to lean that way. Um, I'm really excited about this ice cream piece that we're doing in the next little bit. And I've got a couple of designs waiting that are more Tuscan in nature because I love that too. And then I've got some mixed media pieces I'm working on too. So, I have the attention span of a gnat. I'm all over the place. But that appeals to me. Those are things that I love to paint. I love the relaxation of doing this. So, as you can see, this is pretty good coverage for one coat. And it doesn't really need more than that because we're going to be putting so many other colors over top of it. So, I mean, that is one of the reasons that I don't generally use more than one coat. One, my first coat is generally pretty generous, and I have a methodology for applying color so that I'm not having to go back over it several times, mainly because I want to get to the fun stuff. So I have a tendency to want to do that more than I want to do the. No, there is a 1/4 inch waffle. I'll check the site. They may not be together on there. That's what I mean. It all depends on how the things were inputted. But yes, we do have them. And I think I'm just about done with all this base coating. Even if I'm not, I am. Perfect. Okay. So we've got yellow. Kathy, you know what? As I said, I think I have a serious case of like ADHD or something because I can't stay doing just one thing all the time. If you haven't seen the ice cream piece, this is it. I wanted something summery. I wanted a very 1950s style color palette, which is exactly what I got out of this. I love the color. I love the combination, the pinks and the blues and the vanilla. I just think this is such a fun piece to paint. And it is heavily distressed. We go to town sanding and whatnot. Used a couple of stencils for it, but it's really fun to paint. And it looks cute as it is, or if you frame it. I did this one on a 8 by 10 panel and framed it. And I just love how it looks. I think it'll look really cute in the dining room. Like I said, I have the attention span of a gnat. And I'm working on a jumbo cattle tag with a cow on it because, you know, I'm crazy. I really like the thing. I mean, flowers and butterflies don't necessarily go with ice cream, but I wanted summery and fun, and I think I got exactly what I wanted. It's the picture I had in my head. So, and a monarch butterfly in well, it's not really monarch. What do they call it? Emperor. It's not a monarch. I'd like to do a monarch piece. Hey, I got to do something, Lucy. I don't sleep anymore, so I must do something. I'm sleeping in increments these days. So the leaves on my sunflower are one coat of lush green. I love lush green. It's very similar to antique green in that it has that same tone, but it's a little bit more opaque, so it covers a little bit better than antique green does. So I've got one coat. Hello. What?
It smells good in here.
Good.
All I smell is gas.
Oh. Draining the
fuel tank.
Fuel tank.
You got another hour?
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
You gotta go buy dog food?
Yeah, I gotta go buy chicken feet and stuff like that.
Okay. See you in an hour.
It won't take me that long, but
No, I know.
I want to get to Ren's before they close. So.
Yep. Oakley dokley. Saturday, it's a busy day. You know what? I might have to look at the website. I know we have them because I inventoried them, so maybe they're just not showing on the website, but I know we have them. Because I didn't have one, I had to take one out of inventory, so I know we have them. It shan't take me long. And the birthday coupon, Happy Birthday 25, is still up on the website. That's, if you need anything off of the site, use that coupon code. Save a little bit of your hard-earned. So we have green. And then the center of our sunflower is a little bit of asphaltum. I'm going to use a deer foot to put mine in. I kind of like the irregularities. A little asphaltum in there. I like that it goes over top of the sunflower a little bit. It's not technically just a base coat. I just sort of stipple a bunch of brown in because we're going to be putting black and a whole bunch of other things in. So I don't really worry too much about making it a perfectly base coated space, but it gets our base color in. Comme ça. There we go. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all cost. Good morning, Lucinda. And Wendy Warner. Hello. Thank you. I like this background too. I use it a lot. I will find the 1/4 inch ones, I promise you. Ta-da. So our next step for this, is we're going to start shading the sunflower, each of the petals on the sunflower. And we're going to use, remember what we used on the bumblebee is this. This is that warm sunset. If you don't have it, again, you can use orange flame. There's any bright orange will work just fine for this. And give me 2 seconds. I'm going to figure out why we don't have a 1/4-inch waffle on the site. It shan't take long. I do know we have them. We have so many of the M-square stencils that every once in a while they kind of get lost. Huh. Crazy. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, it seems, for whatever reason, I think that's a typo. But that's easily fixed. There we go. Okay, now they're available. I have no idea why it wasn't there, but it is now. You're good. So now, paint is dry. We're going to start with the shading on our sunflower. I'm going to use this warm sunset because that's what I used the first time. And I'm also going to put a little bit of saffron yellow on my palette. I love this color. It's extremely transparent. Yep. Well, Linda, if you're going to stock up on M-square stencils, now is the time to do it because that coupon code is worth 25% off. So that's one. And then, no worries. So yes, we have the waffle. So here we go. We're going to use, I'm using a 3/8 angled shader and a little bit of Joe Sonia. And we're going to shade the ones in the back first. So all of those petals in the back are going to get shaded first. So right into those spaces, nice and tight, put a float of that warm sunset on those back petals. I think everybody's having chili tonight. We're having chili. I put a big pot of chili in the slow cooker. I made a big batch so that I can can the rest. Now that I've got my canner. I'm so excited. Most girls get excited about diamonds for Christmas. I get excited because I got a pressure canner. But I'm easily entertained, so color me happy. There we go. So all of those shadings in behind first. Just like that. They don't have to be perfect either. And you'll see why in a minute. Because we're going to be doing a little deepening in there. And I like to do it first because it's easier to get the ones in the front balanced. Becca, I'm with you. I'm a big fan of kitchen gadgets. I do love my kitchen gadgets. So I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to deepen that color with a float of asphaltum. I think it's on, cool weather. Everybody decided to have chili. So I got my peppers out. I got peppers and celery and red onion, garlic, all the good stuff. So a little float of asphaltum over top of all of that warm sunset. It tones it. It also deepens the color a little bit so that it makes it a little bit darker. And it gives us a nice definition. It really sets those petals back a bit. Just like that. Love it. I'm a firm believer in buying the best quality of things that you can get. And another thing I'm a firm believer in is that the price tag does not necessarily denote quality. So I'm going to start working on this front row of petals, and we're going to blend out your color a little bit. And we're going to make a U-shaped float just in from the edge, like so, on each petal. That one might be a little strong, but it's okay. And I'm going to separate some of these other petals as well, just like that. And if you get them a little too dark, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're just putting in the shape. We're developing the shape of these petals with this. So there we go. I love that it just forms that little cup. I have found some really great products over the years, tools and gadgets and whatnot. There's certain things that I won't sacrifice the quality on. And first of which, having worked in the meat cutting industry for so many years, good knives. We cannot work in a kitchen without a good quality knife. Simple as that. I have never bought and never will buy a dollar store knife to work in my kitchen. I have a set of knives that I have had for years. They're Salingan steel knives. I will take them to a local metalsmith to have them sharpened every few years. Not quite going to the edge. I leave a little space. I'll bring this up closer so you can see. You can see there's a little gap all the way around. And I'm going to dry this. About 15 years ago, my husband bought me a KitchenAid stand mixer, and I'm still using the same one. I absolutely love that machine. I would buy another one. If this one ever kicks the dust, I will get another one, but I will get a bigger one. Yep. I have a full set of Lagostina stainless steel copper bottom cookware that I've had for over 25 years. And I love it. Still use all the saucepans. And my saute pans and my skillets are all greenware. Love them. I bought myself a really good knife sharpener, so now I do it. So look at that. We've got that nice little shading in, but I want to show you something really cool. So I'm going to take a little bit of, you can do this with warm white or, a pale yellow, buttercream, something like that. But I've got warm white in the palette, so I'm going to use it. In the end, it's not going to matter which one you use. I'm going to put a little float of warm white out at the tip of the petals. Doesn't have to be all of them, just some of them. Just a little float of warm white out at the tip of the petals. I'm going to show you why in just a second, because this has wow factor. Anytime you're painting something that just seems to be a little mousy, and this baby duck with this bright orange looks a little overwhelmed, which it should, because it's a pale yellow and then you've got this bright orange on next to it. Of course it's going to look a little overwhelmed. So, little float of warm white. Doesn't have to be neat and tidy, just a nice loose float out at the tips. Anytime you've got a color that is just, especially yellows, that it just, it's not giving me what I want. I'm not getting that bright oomph that I want or the sunlight that I want. This is a great way to fix that. So I've got a little bit of white out at the tips of the petals. It's very faint. It's not a hard white, as you can see, but watch this. So I'm going to dry this. Oh, I couldn't agree more, Sheila. I love my stand mixer. It gets used almost daily. The only thing that we use more often than that is my electric kettle. Quite honestly. So there we go. We've got that warm white on there. This is nice and dry. Watch this. I'm going to take a round brush. And remember I had saffron yellow on my palette? I'm going to thin some out with a little bit of Joe Sonia's. Where did she find a steampunk one? She made it steampunk. It's awesome. So I'm taking round brush with a little bit of saffron yellow. Watch what happens to this petal. Right over top of everything. Look at that. It's transparent. It fires up all of that shading. Look what it does for the orange. The orange just, oh, yummy. So all of those oranges, and I mean all of them, go right over everything. All of those outer petals, the inner petals, and look at that. Mine, I have the stainless steel KitchenAid. I just love mine. Best money spent ever. The other thing, Renee gave me the most awesome gift for Christmas. He got me a cooktop. I have been wanting one. and it's fantastic. The instant heat, the magnetic cooktops, oh my God, it's just the best thing since cookies. So I absolutely love what that saffron yellow does. There's the baby duck. There's the saffron yellow. And it doesn't dramatically change the color, but the vibrancy is incredible. And all of the other shadings that you've done just suddenly get nice and rich. It ceases to look flat, and it just takes on this richness. It's just such a pretty way to really fire up a floral. Look at that. Oh, I love my crock pot too. I have all of the doodads that go with mine, except the pasta maker and the meat grinder. Well, I got rid of the meat grinder, and my niece had the, she needed the pasta maker and I wasn't using it, so I gave that to her. But I have an Italian pasta maker, the countertop variety that I just love, so I didn't really need the pasta maker. So there we go. So we've got all of that gorgeous saffron yellow on top of our baby duck. And now we have that bright sunny yellow. Yep, my girl Karen finally got one. So here we go. So our next step for a sunflower is these leaves. These are going to work up pretty quickly. Again, we don't need to have a million colors, and you don't have to be working too hard to do this. This one is a little bit of black green or plantation pine. Either one will work just fine. Any dark green will work just fine, quite honestly. Oh yeah, that saffron over top of baby duck, it just fires it up. I love it. So we're going to put some shading on our leaves. A little bit of, as I said, black green or plantation pine. Black forest green works too. Any one of them will work just fine. We're going to float up underneath, right up to the edge of our petals with that black green. Get nice and tight in there, and then walk that float down a little bit. I want to come down to about a third of the way. I want to get that, nice dark shadow under there. And same thing on the other leaf. I like this. Black green is beautiful. It's also black forest green. Has a little bit of a phthalo tone to it, and it's gorgeous on this lush green. So on the stem as well, up underneath the flower, and then you're going to put a shadow down the right side, just a little float like that. Nothing fancy. And then we're going to dry that as well. And then we're going to put a shadow down the center vein. I have that same paddle, Sheila. I love it. And I think it was under $20. It was fantastic. I have a couple of them. So we need a shadow down the center vein on our leaves. Just there. Nice little float. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Patrick, I have to send you a box anyway. If you want one, I'll pick one up for you. Cheaper for me to do it for you than for you to do it. Oh, it's so much better. I have a goodie box going to you anyway, Patrick, so I'll pick one up and I'll pop it in. So for the highlight, you're going to load up an angled shader as if to float with a little bit of margarita. And I like to start on the outside edge, but watch how I move my brush. So it's on the chisel edge, and it creates an irregular float so that it has a little bit of texture. Down the center vein, it's a smooth float. And then on the edge of the leaf, it's kind of choppy, and it creates sort of a serrated edge on the leaf. So chisel edge, move the brush back and forth on the chisel edge. See? It creates sort of a serrated or a rough edge on the leaf. Smooth down the center vein, and then rough on the outside edge. So it gives you that sort of rough, serrated edge on the edge of the leaf. Oh, the one with the scraper makes life so much better. Yeah, absolutely could do that for you. So once you have that highlight in place, make sure it's good and dry, and then you're just going to redefine that center vein, just in case it gets a little washed out. Just another float just to define that center vein a little bit better. And then if you want to adjust the shadows, by all means, go ahead. So there we go. We've got nice defined shadows. Some nice highlights. And then on the stem, we've already got our shading in, so we're going to put a highlight in. I'm just going to pull a little bit of that same margarita down the left side with just a little float until the two floats overlap a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Et voila. Now comes the fun part. We're going to be using a liner, extra long detail liner, and baby duck, because I love this baby duck. And we're going to put a little bit of warm white in it, just a little. I don't want to make it too bright or too white, but I just want it a little more opaque. So, load it up on the liner brush. Hi, Sandy Barton. Glad to have you with us. So, we're going to add a highlight to our petals with a stroke right over that space that we had in between the leaves. Just going to outline some of these petals with this line. And I like doing this because I can add a little texture to the ends of those petals, a little flip or a little sharp point. They don't have to be perfect. They can be squiggly, they can be hard-edged, whatever you prefer. Again, neatness doesn't count. I do like, do you see that little highlight? It accentuates that cupped feeling of the petals. This is why I don't worry too much about that little space between the petals, because this stroke is going to take care of whatever is remaining. But it is also what makes our sunflower look lacy and delicate instead of hard-edged. And it provides us with a little extra texture. I like having that more delicate fine line and that thin point at the end of the petals. Just gives it a nice look. So, and it's super easy to do. Get us an extra long detail liner, lots of paint. There's nothing to worry about. Gives you nice definition. And then all of those other little leaves get the same treatment. You don't have to be quite so cautious with the space down here in the center. And I love that delicate look with that little thin point. It's really pretty. There we are. Almost finished with this. Such fun. I'm excited. We have a really special gift for next Saturday. The giveaways for next Saturday are courtesy of Dynasty Brush, DecoArt, and Tombow. And we have beautiful brush cases, and they're full of Dynasty black gold brushes and Tombow drawing pens and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So there, that little finishing touch does wonders for that sunflower. And we're going to do the same thing to the edges of the leaves. So I'm going to take a little bit of that highlight color that we used, which is Margarita. Going to thin that out, and we're going to add just a touch of warm white to it, just to give it a little more opacity and to make it a little bit brighter. Just a little more opaque, I think is the word I'm looking for. What brush am I using for the line work? I am using a 5/0 extra long detail liner, and it is a Dynasty Micron. And then we're going to use that same prospect, like what we did for the petals. We're going to do the same thing to the leaves. I like this sort of irregular line. I prefer it to be irregular. Little thin stroke. Keep it simple. Doesn't have to be perfectly on the edge of the leaf. It can go off, it can go on, it doesn't matter. Little strokes like that. That little delicate line enhances the edge of the leaf. It doesn't look so hard-edged. And then you can use that same mixture to brighten the highlight on the stem. Just a little stroke, it doesn't have to be much. And we're going to dry that. And then we're going to do a little finishing work on the center. Now, if you notice in the line drawing, there's two circles. There's the outer circle, and then there's a smaller one in the inside. Now I'm going to use, I like to define those first before I do this next bit. So I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black on an angled shader, and I'm going to put a shadow to the right, about where that circle would be, like that. So it makes like a bowl on the right. And then I'm going to shade the right-hand side like so. Just like that. So we've got two half moons. And then I'm going to grab my deerfoot that I used to put the base color in. Hi, Rose. So we have asphaltum. That's what we're going to put on our deerfoot. A little bit of asphaltum. And then we're going to pick up just a little bit of the margarita. And on the highlight side, on the center, we're going to just stipple a little bit like so. And again on this side. Pick up a little more brown here. There we go. So we have a highlight on the left side, on the outer ring, and on the left side of the inner ring. Just like that. And then on this outer ring, we're going to put a highlight right here at the edge of that. So this gives us that look that there's a bit of a dimple in the center of the sunflower. Super easy. So I'm going to clean my deer foot, and I'm going to use a rigger for this. I like the more irregular shapes that I get from the tip of the rigger as opposed to using a stylus or something. The stylus is a little hard edge to me, but I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum and a little bit of that margarita green, and I'm going to just stipple the highlight side like so. Needs a little more margarita. And I kind of like that this is a dirty brush. A brush has got a little bit of asphaltum in it. So I'm just using a little bit of that margarita. It doesn't need to be bright. It's going to mix with that asphaltum to put in some highlight and texture. Dirty brush. I'm going to do a little bit here too. And we're going to do the same thing to that highlight side of the center. The idea is to create a softer, almost a blended look. It doesn't need to look like dip dots. So, dirty brush, asphaltum, pick up a little bit of margarita. And if it gets a little too bright, you can always pick up some asphaltum and go in and fill in the gap. So whenever it starts to look a little too bright, you can just soften it a little with some asphaltum. And then finally, you want a few dots of that margarita that are full strength. And don't be afraid to go outside that circle a little bit. Just like so. Makes for a fun look. It gives it a nice textured appearance without being too bright. Now, I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to use a little bit of asphaltum and black to put the shadows in. So I've got a little asphaltum on my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. And I'm going to use just a few little dip dots of that on the deepest shaded parts of our sunflower. And I always come off onto the petals a little bit in just a few places. You don't want to have it too strong, and you don't want to have too much of it. So just a few little spots, just like that. Miss Mays is just welcoming Renee back. So I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to break out the gel pen and do a little detailing on these petals, and our flower will be complete. So I got my black gel pen. Now, if you prefer to do this with a liner brush, by all means. I just happen to like using... So I do one long line and then a series of little strokes on either side of it. And by long, 1/2 inch at the most. Just adds a little extra texture towards the center of the flower without having to do a whole lot of work. And I like the texture of this. Another thing that I've taken to doing lately, and I'll show you in just a second with my gel pen, is this. I like to go around the edges of the center with an irregular squiggly line. It just connects and grounds things really nicely. Here we go. Now that little squiggly line going around the outside of the flower, the outside of the center, it just softens things really nicely. So we get this nice fuzzy center. So our flower is done, our leaves are done. So now we're going to work on some lettering. This part's really not that difficult. I am going to require a clean palette though for this. Now I'm going to be using a white Posca pen to do the sunflower lettering at the top. I really like that script that we've got in there. It's just such a fun one. So we're going to use a white Posca pen for that. And I'm going to grab my Posca pen. This one is the 1.3 millimeter. It's a bullet point. Just looks like a giant Sharpie, but it's full of acrylic paint. Oh, Patrick, absolutely, my dear. Whenever you're ready, just tell me. Be more than happy to send you some surfaces. Just let me know what you need. So we've got a white Posca pen. We're going to work with a 3/8 angled shader. I'm working with a faux squirrel. And we're going to do the shading for our lettering first. And for that, we're going to use a little bit of a Sphaltum. My favorite color. So our shading on this lettering is pretty straightforward. We're going to put floats on the right side of the letter. Now, we know that this lettering goes over top of the leaf, so that shadow has to go over top of the leaf as well. Just like that. So on the right side of each segment of the letter, and that means on those underside strokes as well. Inside on the right side, outside on the right side. Now these floats are going to lift this lettering quite dramatically off the surface, going to give them the appearance that they're floating a little, which is kind of what I wanted. I didn't want them to be stuck on the surface. So we're going to make them float a little by putting in these shadows. And I'm going to finish this stroke and then I'll show you where I've put everything. So on those underside, you need to get all of them. They need to go on the underside as well. So it looks kind of messy, but it will all fall into shape the minute we put that white lettering down. So I'm going to dry this really quick. And then I'm going to use that white Posca pen. I just hold it like I would a pen, because essentially that's what I'm doing. So give it a good shake, prime it on your surface to make sure you've got paint in the tip, and then just trace over the lettering with your Sharp. It's a giant Sharpie. So I treat it like one. And they're so fun to work with. Oops, a daisy. These are so easy to work with. They are great paint pens. I met a lady at our local Michael's store the other day, and she was shopping for Posca pens, and she didn't know anything about them. The sales girl was very helpful. And then we were standing there chit-chatting, and she asked me if I used them. I said, oh, yeah. I have a whole bunch of them. I love them. So this one is the white. I love that lettering. Look how it just pops off of there. Now it doesn't look like that mess back there. Gail Jensen, you have a birthday coming up. Tell him you need one, and he'll get the benefits of it. I absolutely love my stand mixer. I couldn't live without it now. Mine seems to intermittent. Mine does too. Quite honestly, that's why I sand my surface. This one does too a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. I've generally found that there is another one in the Posca line. These ones with the felt tip tend to do that, but the ones with the harder plastic points don't, and neither do the micro tips, the ultra fine ones. It just tends to be these ones that do that, but mine does it too, and quite honestly, you can't really see it when we're done, so. And I'm going to show you how you can hide it in just a second. So once this is completely dry, we're going to deepen the shading a little bit with a gel pen. So, and it just makes the lettering stand up just a little bit more, which is never a bad thing. So this is nice and dry. So we're going to take our black paint pen, our black gel pen, and we're going to put a line right on the edge of the white ink on the shaded side. And look at how sharp that becomes. And it's just a little line. We're not tracing the whole lettering. We're just putting a little faint line in right on the edge of the white. But look at how it sharpens the edge of that lettering. So if you find you've got a couple of little spots where the paint, it's spit a little bit or it splatters a little bit, this is a great way to hide that. And it covers up a multitude of little sins. So if you've got a spot where it's not quite sharp enough, it didn't come out as clean as you would like, this is the way you clean that up. So a little bit of black ink right on the edge of the white does wonders. Just like that. So there's our nice clean lettering. See, I had a little spattering right in here. Took care of it. I haven't found that problem with any of the other ones, only with the felt tips. But quite honestly, it's not that big a deal. Really isn't. There we go. Oh, a little more right here. So, fun way to accentuate that lettering without having to do a ton. You could do this with a liner brush, but honestly, this works just as well. So there we go. So we've got nice bright lettering over top of our shaded area. Pops off of there really nicely. So we only have this lettering left to do, and this one is super easy. We're going to use a rigger to paint this, and we're going to start with thin asphaltum. Now, in this case, I've got a drop shadow to the right of the lettering. We're going to thin out some asphaltum, and you're going to paint in all of those spaces. Which are easier to use? The felt tip They're both pretty easy. I find that the felt tip works best on canvas once you've painted it. And the ceramic, I find, especially if you want fine, crisp edges, work best on wood surfaces. But that's just my personal preference. So I'm going to fill in that drop shadow with asphaltum and a little bit of Joe Sonia's. I love my Joe Sonia's. And I paint right up to the line. And just fill in that space, just like so. And I do this part first because when I go to paint the lettering, if there's any area that I'm not, I've gone over top of the letter, it's not going to hurt it. And the paint is going to cover up any little boo-boos that I make. It's just simpler. So all of those little drop shadow areas in the lettering all get painted asphaltum, thinned asphaltum. And don't worry if it goes onto the letter, that's okay. Because we're going to paint the lettering black anyway. And it'll all get covered up anyhow. So if you make little boo-boos, it's all right. Here we go. Asphaltum is such a great color for this. Here we go. Almost done. We just have the black lettering to do. Doo, doo, doo. How you doing?
Good.
Get all your shoplifting done? I meant shopping.
Stuff was on sale.
Oh, good.
So I grabbed a few things.
Is Maze Eats cheaper this week? Yes, no, maybe? Probably not.
Well, I got 2 bags of chicken feet and a bag of duck feet for the low price of 2 chicken feet.
Oh, good.
Or the price of 2 bags of chicken feet.
Oh, that's good. There's a bag of duck feet in the freezer. Sorry.
Okay, so she's got 2 bags of duck feet and 2 bags of chicken feet.
She's good for a while.
She's good for a bit.
Yep. That's okay.
And then her canned food.
Oh, good. And you got her the raw the other day, so.
She's good for a bit.
Yes, sir. So we have our drop shadow in. I think it's so cool that lettering really stands out already. So we're going to dry this.
Which is easier to use, felt tip or ceramic tip?
Oh, we just talked about that.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Okay.
I think they both work really well. But I find one works better on hard surfaces than the other. I like the felt tip for canvas.
Gets into the nooks and crannies.
Yep. So lamp black is our color for this lettering. And I'm using a number 2 rigger for this. And again, I'm using some Joe Sonia's because it helps keep the paint moving off of the brush. I don't want to thin it to the point where it's just watery, but I want the paint to come off the brush smoothly. And little Joe Sonia's does the trick. So there we are. So each of the letters just gets based in with lamp black. And this is a pretty easy font to paint. It's lots of open spaces, not a lot of really tiny details, or sharp points. So it's a forgiving one to paint. The issue that I'm having is my graphite paper is a little waxy. So the paint doesn't want to stick to it for some reason. There we go. Mr. Renee is getting the wheel ready. Et voila. Now the font in this one is called Western Playbill. So if you were a font collector, Western Playbill, I got this one from fontbundles.com. And I think it gets its name because it does sort of have a Western appeal to it. There's, I see a wanted poster being used with this font. And the contrast of this lettering is great. I love how this looks, particularly with that dropped shadow. The contrast is really nice and it gives the lettering some body. There we go. So we're almost finished with this one. Easy peasy. I'm glad I make it look easy. Because quite honestly, it is easy. You just have to sort of think of it, especially lettering like this, just think of it as another space to paint. For some reason, there's a bit of a mental block for us when it comes to painting lettering. And we tend to freeze up and think that, oh, we're going to make a mess of it. When honestly, it's just another space to paint. And if you treat it that way, it becomes less intimidating. Oop, crunchy. That's not good. Crunchy knees. Joints should never snap, crackle, and pop like that. Oh. Somebody's hanging around the door of the studio, looking through the cat door. Mm-hmm. And the occasional little, there it is, look. Maze does not like closed doors. But she really doesn't like them when Renee is on the other side of that closed door. Or anybody is, for that matter. So just a couple more letters to do, and we will be done with that. And then we'll do a little bit of finishing work, just to clean everything up. These pieces are really fun to paint. They work up pretty quickly. And I'm anxious to teach the ice cream. I just think that's a fun piece. It's super simple, but it is fun. And I like them for decorating. I like this.
Try to come through the cat door?
She threw herself on the floor. Her head is sticking in. Maze is making her presence known up there.
What are you doing, pup?
There we go. We'll just finish off the Y. And then we'll do a little bit of finishing work. Et voila. We just have a little highlighting to do on this lettering, and then we will be finished with that. And if anybody had any other questions, maybe Renee will move the wheel so I can see. So I'm going to dry this real quick. What did I miss? Here we go. This one is almost dry. Now we're going to put a little highlight on this lettering, and it's a simple float, a little bit of heavily thinned warm white. There we go. That one is almost empty. So we're going to use a tiny bit of warm white, and I'm really going to blend this out because I don't want it full strength. This is a light highlight. It's going on the left side, little highlight like that, sort of U-shaped. You can use your finger or a mop brush to soften it if you like. I like my fingers. That little highlight just gives the letters a little bit more elevation. Changes the shape of them a little bit too. Gives you the impression that it's, perhaps a little dome, that it's got a little highlight, a little more texture to it than what you originally thought. And it's simple. It's not a harsh highlight. It doesn't have to be much. It also does not need to be neat and tidy. We're just creating a little height. There we go. A little bit on this side. Now, the final thing to do to this for cleaning up is a black eraser. Remove any of your graphite lines that are still showing. At this point, there should be precious few, but there are going to be some, especially where that drop shadow is. But an eraser, good quality black eraser, whether it's a Factus black or Tombow black, will remove those graphite lines quite effectively. Just like so. And then we're going to lightly spatter this surface with a little bit of thin asphaltum or lamp black, either or. I'm going to do it with a little bit of lamp black. It's a light spatter, not too heavy. I don't like it too heavy. But a little bit of thinned lamp black. And then a little bit of asphaltum. If you find that your piece is a little dark, you can actually spatter with a little bit of warm white as well. And that warm white will lighten the surface a little bit. So a little bit of asphaltum. Et voila. And Bob's your uncle, Sally's your aunt. Now to finish up the edges of this, I usually just paint it with lamp black. And then one or two light coats of DecoArt matte spray will seal it up really nicely. And then it's ready to hang. This is a fun piece to paint, and it looks really great with the butterfly piece as well.
The wheel.
It's a surprisingly limited palette. We don't have a ton of colors in it. So Renee's got the wheel up.
The wheel.
Holy Moses, it's full today.
Yes, ma'am. There's a bunch of names on there.
Here is so.
Very cold here in northwest Arkansas. Deanna Swindlehurst received my 12 Days of Christmas box.
Awesome.
Wow, I really felt spoiled.
Oh, good. You should feel spoiled. Those boxes were loaded. It was fun doing those, getting them all out of here.
Did you send...
The finished pieces? The packaging just came yesterday, so...
Oh, did it?
Yeah, we had to order boxes to fit them.
Going UPS?
I hope... they'll be going Pure later.
Sure they do.
Yep. Awesome peas. I love these. But this is my shtick. I like this stuff. So for the giveaways today, again, we have 3 sets of Dynasty Micron brushes. And we also have some goodies from Tombow USA, which I love. I get giddy whenever there's Tombow goodies show up at the front door. And of course, we've tucked them all into some little create bags that we create for you, and as well as some other fun stuff that we have laying around here. So each of your little goodie bags will be going out on Monday morning. And Renee has his Post-its ready to write names on. And he's going to spin the wheel. Sunshiny project.
First name?
Gamas Almeida. Wow.
Boom.
So remember, if your name is called, please drop over to the website. On the homepage, on the lower right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little speech bubble. Click on that and send us your shipping information so that we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible. Anything that is unclaimed after 2 weeks goes back in the bin. Number 2. That wheel is choking full.
And...
Lisa Ashby. Right on.
Lisa Ashby.
Thank you, Cheryl. That's awfully sweet. And Cindy Braden. How did I miss your name, Cindy? I'm sorry.
And...
Karen, I love this shirt too. This is one of my favorites. And the last one goes to Donna Shepherd.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for joining us this cold and blustery Saturday. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Next Saturday, birthday party. Be here. We're going to have some great giveaways. We have some special giveaways coming for this Saturday to celebrate my birthday. So please join us. And thank you again for joining us as you do every Saturday. We love having you here and we love doing these classes. So please join us, grab a friend, and come and visit us again next Saturday. In the meantime, have a safe and happy weekend. Mwah! We love you. Stay safe.
Yay. Oh, and pet your dog.
Pet your dog.
That one.